everyone, my name is Chloe and welcome to another TGI Friend Day. So we have been talking now for 22 minutes on our own because I just love this lady. And I was just telling her, actually, she is one of the first people that I ever found on YouTube. And for that reason, and so many others, but I watch every single video she puts out because it's just comforting to hear her voice. And aside from that, she does great content. She does a lot of readathons. She is she is the creator of March Mystery Madness. Those M's always screw me up, but March Mystery Madness. And so she is doing that coming up here in March. And she just does so many great things. She reads pretty eclectically. And like I said, she is just a wonderful, comforting channel. Definitely check her out. Elizabeth, introduce yourself.
Well, thank you so much. That's so sweet. I feel like, she talks about that I'm comforting. I like to read comfort books.
Yes.
And I feel like I'm probably like as old as your mom. So I'm kind of like a mother, grandma figure.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm Lizzie Faye Loves Books, and I've been on Booktube since July of 2015. And started watching a few months before that. And we were just talking about how I remembered her sister from when her sister first started her channel. I used to see her commenting to someone that we both watched, and so that was fun.
What year would that have been? Like 2017? 16?
No, it was probably 2015 or 16.
Okay.
Do you remember when she had her channel? Because it was before she had her channel.
Because
and then you did a few videos way back in the day.
I did a few videos when I was pregnant with Ainsley, like right around the time I found out I was pregnant. So that would have been 2017. So I probably started watching in 16 at some point. Well, yeah, no, I started watching in 16 because I was just telling you, I started watching when my mom got diagnosed with cancer, which was right after our wedding, which was in 2016.
Yeah, because you were just married.
Videos around that time, I think. So 16 would have been when she was making videos, I think.
Yeah.
Alana, if you're watching this, right, comment below and tell us.
Alana, if you are watching this, I was telling her how you probably thought I was a stalker because you had commented all the time to Christine from Kizzie Reads. And so I saw that you were in Florida, and I commented to you saying, hey, I'm in Florida. I know we both watch Christine and blah, 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 just wanted to say, hey. And I was telling Chloe that you probably thought I was like a stalker. What are you, who are you?
But even like back then, Booktube was so much smaller than it is now, which is, but also like even today, it's so funny. Like your commenter, like the people who comment on your videos and just that comment section is so like, I love it. I just love it. And so many people have become friends through comments on videos. Like it's crazy.
There would be no point for me in doing it if I couldn't chat with people in the comments.
Yeah. That's for sure.
I mean, that's like the life of it to me.
Yeah. So why did you start a Booktube?
Well, for that reason, I first found Booktube. The first Booktuber I ever found was Gwen from the Gwendolyn reading method. And it was because I was searching around looking for places to advertise for a book sale, because I was in charge of book sales at our library. And I was on the Book Sale Finder website, and I saw that they had a Facebook page. So I was advertising a Book Sale Finder, and I clicked over to their Facebook page, and they had posted a video from Gwen about library book sales and how they're awesome. And I was just watching it, and I was like, who is this girl talking about library book sales? What is she talking about? And so somehow I kept clicking around, and I realized she had more videos. I found her website, and then I found my way to YouTube, and, of course, then that opens up the floodgates because you see one video and then it suggests all these others. And I guess it was the bigger ones, that I saw right after that, like Katie Tastic and all that. And I was like, oh my goodness, there's people talking about books. So I would literally sit and watch just hours after hours. And I was so scared to comment because I would think, I would see all these comments, and so I clicked to try to say something. It would say, you must have a channel if you're going to, if you want to comment. And I thought,
I don't want to do that.
And so finally I thought, I think I talked to somebody about it. They were like, well, you don't actually have to make videos to you just set it up,
You
set up a
have
channel
an
and then
account,
you
right?
comment. And then I thought, but I think I kind of want to make videos. I think,
Yeah.
I like to talk, and I just wanted to throw my 2 cents in. And so it just made sense for me to talk. And my husband did not really want me to do it. He still thinks it's too much time spent because
It's a lot.
I'm kind of a perfectionist. So if I'm going to film a video, I'm going to like keep working on it and filming it until I get it like I want it,
right.
that kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But now that I have enough, it's big enough where I can get a little bit of a compensation, that I can at least justify it some, to him. But I just love it, the community of it, and all of that. That's why I do it.
Yeah, it's awesome. So let's start way back. How did you get into reading, or what's your first like memory of reading?
Well, I actually brought this in here.
Oh, good.
I told her I brought visual aids. This was one that my mom bought for me, but there was one that had been my brother and sister's that I remember more, but I think my sister got to keep it because I don't have it. But this is just a book that has little stories for every day, like little poems and stuff.
Yep.
And this is the first memory I have. My mom would read me the story of the day because there's, one for every day of the year. And first we started out with the old version, and then she eventually got me that one. So sometimes we'd read both, like we'd read the one for whatever day it was out of both books. Yep. And I remember my mom was a school teacher, and she was a farm wife, and my dad was also a school teacher and farmer. And by the time I would go to bed, she would be exhausted. So even sometimes those little short things, she would be falling asleep while she was trying to read to me. But she loved to read. Like she would sit and read Gone with the Wind over and over, and she loved a lot of books, and subscribed to what nowadays would be book of the month, but back then there was like Crossings Book Club and some other type of book clubs where you could get they would send you like 3 books and you could send them back or you could keep them or whatever. So she would read a lot. And in 1974, when A Little House on the Prairie came on TV, I was in 4th grade, and she was like, "Oh, well, those are books. So let's get you those." And so she would have to go every year to a teacher conference right before school started, and they had a big college bookstore there. So she started bringing me, not this edition. These were hers, these hardcovers, but she brought me this first one, and I was looking at this picture, and I said, I've seen that picture before, because in my room, my dad had a bookshelf, and my brother and sister, there was just a bunch of books. I inherited the room. Everybody, when we were growing up, it's like everybody kept moving around. So I eventually got the room that had everybody's stuff in it. But we had these books, and they're called Best in Children's Books. They are so worn out now, but they have excerpts, they're like Reader's Digest for kids. But on the front of one of them is this. And so when she brought me this, I'm like, oh,
I know that.
I recognize that. There's some of that in here. And of course we started watching the show, and it was, we're faithful to watch the show. And every year she would bring me 1 or 2 more books. And so I started doing that, reading those. And about that same time, I guess 5th grade, when we would go shopping, and I can't give you the Cliff Notes version. You can edit this out if you want to.
That's okay.
I'm too long-winded. Where we would go grocery shopping was like 20 miles away, and that was where the nearest library was. And I was like, Mom, I'm old enough now for you to let me off at the library while you go shopping. And, would you do that? And she's like, well, let's make sure it's okay with the librarians and everything. So we went and asked if it would be okay if she left me there. And they said, yeah, that'll be fine, because I was in 5th grade. So I remember these sweet librarians, this one in particular, I wish I could remember her name, but she took me around. She showed me the Newbery poster. And ever since then, I've wanted to read all the Newberys. And she introduced me to she showed me where everything was, in the kids' room. And I started reading Nancy Drew. I'm getting teared up because it was like, it's special. And it was just, I met a friend there who, her grandparents owned a funeral home that was in the same block as the library. And so she would come and hang out at the library too. And she took dance class. So she would show me some of her dance. And then I eventually started taking dance class. And It was just cool. I just have
How
special
fun.
memories of the library. And I mean, this is in the 70s because um, I finished fifth grade in 75. So,
And
all
you
of that
grew
was
up
kind of
in
happening all at
Oklahoma.
once. I did.
Yeah.
Southeast
So
Oklahoma. Yeah. Yeah.
Midwest. Yep. How fun.
Yes.
Gosh, what great
So
stories
I,
and
I
great
just,
things to have. And that makes
oh,
me
and
think
since I
of,
mentioned Newberry, the
yes.
first Newberry book I ever read was this one. Have you ever read it? I know you have a bunch of
I
Newberries on your
don't think I've
TBR.
read that one. Nope. Yeah,
This,
no, I haven't.
because up to this point I had only read like Nancy Drew, and I had read realistic stuff. And this is really the first time I read anything that's kind of, fantasy, and I loved it. I thought
Oh,
it was
really?
fantastic. Yeah, I loved
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. So the Little House readathon is going to be done by the time this airs, but
Yeah.
you just recently did that. And how many years have you been doing that?
This is just the
Just two?
second.
Okay.
I kind of thought about it earlier, and I just kind of played around in my head. I kind of wanted to do something, and 4 days is not really long enough for a readathon. But February 7th, it's February 7th to the 10th, because she was born on February 7th and she died on February 10th.
Okay.
And she lived to be 90 years and 4 days. And yeah, so it just, I don't know, I just, it
Yeah.
was an excuse to do it, and to kind of celebrate her life. And it's 4 days, so it doesn't
Yep.
take a huge part of life to,
Yeah.
to
Sure.
read something. And it's a good excuse to pick up stuff I haven't read. Like this year we read Young Pioneers, which is written
Yeah.
by her daughter, but
Oh,
it is a mishmash of all of the storylines that Laura used in her books. So it's actually written about Charles and Caroline, Laura's parents, and but it doesn't follow their life exactly. It's You can read it and see all these elements of all these different things that happened in different places where
interesting.
they lived.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it is.
How
It's very
cool.
interesting.
How cool. What did you want to be
And
when you grew up? Do you know?
I still do. I want to be a
Yeah.
stand-up comedian.
Oh,
That's my
really?
dream in life. Yes, I would love to be a stand-up comedian.
That is
I'm not
funny.
that funny, but I've done it a couple times with pretty good results. But it was situations where it was like it made sense with the audience that I had,
Yeah.
and I can't seem to come up with enough material for a general audience.
Sure. Yeah, that stresses me out. I would not be able to do that. Not at all. Not at all.
I
I thought you were
did.
going to say something like teacher or librarian, but stand-up comedian, I like that.
I used to be in an improv group,
Yeah,
comedy sports in Orlando. Yeah,
how
for a little
fun.
while.
Fun.
Yeah.
When I think of all of my friends, like every YouTube friend I have a book or an author that I associate with them. And for you, it's Mitford, the Mitford series, and Jane Karen
Yes.
in general.
Yes.
I always think of you,
Yes.
but then I also think like mysteries. I think of you. Any Christian
Hmm.
fiction, I think of you. So everything you read, what is your favorite genre?
It's probably, honestly, it's clean humor. Like
Okay.
Southern clean humor is my favorite. Like Fanny Flag.
Yeah, I was
Um,
just about to say Fancy
this
Flag.
Yeah, this I think was my first Fanny Flag book, and
Okay.
it's just adorable.
Yeah.
And so stuff like that where I can feel happy reading it,
Yeah.
where I don't have a lot of bad feelings,
Sure.
or I don't have to like worry about I don't have to worry about the characters. I know they're behaving and
Right.
taking care of themselves.
Right.
It
Yep.
was so cute. The other day I was watching, I don't know if you watch Felicia at Little Prairie Library, but she's from Canada and she's been on Booktube a long time. She's one of the first people I started watching because she has the word Prairie in her channel name. I had to
Yep.
watch her. Um, but she doesn't have anything to do with Little House on the Prairie. It's just called Little Prairie Library. But she's a Christian, and she was saying how she was reading something where all these people were just making horrible decisions. And she's like, I just wish I could tell them, you just need Jesus. And, you know, you don't need to make all these bad decisions. And it was so cute. And she's so laid back and so fun. So y'all should check her out, Little Prairie Library. She reads all kinds of stuff. In fact, I don't even know if she really reads Christian fiction, but she'll every once in a while just say something like that that's just adorable. And I feel the same way. I hate to read books where people make life-altering, horrible decisions, because I'm like, don't do that.
Do it. Yep.
No.
So, like, the mysteries you like, do you like mostly cozies, or do you like?
Yes. In fact, I was, when I was thinking about this, I'm not a mystery expert at all. Cozy mysteries is definitely the mysteries that I like, or middle grade mysteries. In fact, I was going to bring one in here that I was going to talk about, but definitely cozies. And I've read a few Agatha Christie, but I've read some thrillers and I don't really like them. Not that much. And definitely cozies for sure. Okay. I like the themed ones. Like the first ones I think I ever read, and I don't have one here, but my sister got me onto the Hannah Swenson Baking Mysteries. Now they can get a little, because I've read the whole series and I'm completely caught up. They're starting to get a little elementary, and I've kind of rolled my eyes like, oh my goodness, okay, give the reader some credit, but they're fun. And then the best one I read this past year, I did bring in here. It was so fun, and you would think it might not be. Well, did I bring it in here? I thought I did. I don't see it. Anyway, it was State of the Onion by Julie Heisey, and it's about White House chefs. Or the White House chef. But the cool thing about it, the way the author wrote it, I thought I had it anyway. It's totally nonpartisan. So you don't know throughout the whole series what party the president is even in. It's completely non-political, and yet it's just so good. And it's about the White House executive chef and mysteries surrounding that. I've only read the first one, but some of my other local friends have read more of them, and they said, through the whole series, you don't know what party. And I just thought that was so smart of the author to do that, because she didn't limit her audience by doing that. She made it where it's readable for anyone and not polarizing. So I thought that was good. But it's a fantastic, I thought it was a fantastic cozy mystery. And one of the first ones I saw was about scrapbooking, and I started collecting them. I've only still read the first one of these, but scrapbooking is something I really like. These are by Laura Childs. So I got drawn in by the covers. They're so cute, the titles, and they're not graphic. There's usually not a lot of swearing, and so I like that.
So who are some of your favorite authors?
Well, I would love for you to try, because you said you don't like historical. Have you ever, or you just said you don't like historical romance?
That's so
and
big.
I wondered if you've ever tried Jeanette Oak.
No, I'll write it down.
This is Christian historical, and Love Comes Softly. There's a movie. You may have seen the movie.
I've heard of it.
It's been around a long time, and I read these in my 20s. So, you're in your 20s, so
I'm
might
not
be relevant.
In my 20s. I wish I was in my 20s. I'm not.
I thought you were in your 20s. Oh, okay. You're not far past.
We'll go.
So Jeanette Oak is probably one of my all-time favorite Christian authors, and from way back. And currently, though, I would say the Jan Karen is my favorite author of series, and then my favorite author of standalones is probably Fannie Flagg.
Okay. So you have done and created a tag about bookish buzzwords, but tell us, what are some of your bookish buzzwords? What are some things that if it's in a book, you will pick it up?
If I know that it's humorous and clean, that'll pull me in. I like old-fashioned. I think one of the reasons that I really like the Jeanette Oak books is they're set in like 1880s, 1800s. So if I see like 1800s Texas or
Yeah.
and I know that it's like Christian author, clean, then I'm totally all about that. I love like mail order bride, that kind of thing. I really enjoy. As far as cozy mysteries, if it's about scrapbooking, then I'm gonna want it. And if it is about cats, then I would probably give it a second look. There are so many cat ones though that I haven't even scratched the surface.
There's a lot.
But yeah, cats are a big buzzword. Um, Organizing. I've got a series on my shelf that's about an organizer and
Oh, really?
mysteries involving that. Yep, yep.
That's what I wanted to be when I grew up. Not really, but like when I grow up now, like I want to go and organize things. I love it so much. And like I try to do it in my own home, and I've got a 3-year-old and a 37-year-old that try to just they're like I've told my mom it's like brushing teeth while eating Oreos. Like I'm trying to do this and they don't really cooperate. But
It's like herding cats too. Yeah, probably. Well, and I've heard organizers say, and I know this is true, that and house cleaners, it's so much easier to do somebody else's house than your
sure.
own. Yeah.
Yeah. There's no like emotional or sentimentality or any of that. And yeah, like once you're surrounded by it for so long, it's like, all right, fine, that can just stay
Right.
there.
Right. And I've been working on organizing in my own house. I mean, it's a perpetual thing. And I think for anybody it is, but I feel like for me, it's because paper is my nemesis.
Oh,
And I
really?
just, I have a love-hate relationship with paper because I am a scrapbooker. So I like to keep a certain amount of paper things
Yep.
in scrapbooks, and I love photos and all that. Um, but I end up keeping way too much, or I postpone the decisions so that, there's just boxes and boxes of things that are
Yeah.
years old that, I mean, it's easier to get rid of once it's years old, but
Yeah.
it's just making myself sit down and go through it is the
What
tough.
do you scrapbook? Just your life or like how do
Yeah, yeah, and I'm so behind, but I have albums of like when the girls were babies, and I never did a wedding album though. We've been married 22 years because I wanted it to be perfect, and I never could start it because I wanted it to be perfect. So that's my perfectionism coming in. But I do have scrapbooks for the girls, and more for Emily than Katie. She's even said, and I think that's so true. You
first
tend to do more
gifting?
for your oldest, and then when your youngest comes along, you're just way too busy.
Yep.
But I still want to, I,
Although my kids, I think like with Ainsley, my oldest, I scrapbooked a lot, but like it took me a long time to like figure out how I wanted to do things.
mhm, mhm,
And so hers is a little messy, and
mhm.
Annie's now is like perfect because it's like I figured out the system, and
Oh,
so
that's
now I can
good.
just
Oh,
kind of
that's
plug it
good.
in, and it's really nice.
Yeah.
I'm the same way about a wedding album. I like, and I was very intentional the whole time, like planning because we had a sillily large wedding. We had like 500 or 600 people. It was huge.
Oh my goodness.
And so I, from the beginning of planning, photographed everything. So we would have pictures of the whole process. And then
Wow.
I got overwhelmed and have never made an album. And so
Yeah,
those
because you
pictures,
had so much.
yeah,
Yeah.
those pictures are just sitting in the cloud or something. I don't know. But
Well, mine are actually like printed out in a
yeah,
box,
yeah.
but well, I hope they're okay. I've got a building out back that's was a detached garage,
Okay.
and it was made into a mother-in-law apartment before we ever bought the house. So that's kind of my
Oh,
scrapbook studio.
nice.
And my husband has a third of it, and then I have the other 2/3
Nice.
for like all my stuff. And it's a great space, but it really needs to be remodeled and
Yeah.
kind of made over and organized. So that's why I need you to come and see me. If you want to be an
That's
organizer,
right.
you need to come and
I
help me
would love
get
it.
it set up.
I would need like a week of organizing and then a week of looking through scrapbooks and then another week of looking through all your bookshelves. That is, that would be love.
Oh, that'd be awesome. Yes. Well, definitely when y'all come to Florida again, you got
Yeah.
to come out.
Well, because we've talked about going, because like with Ainsley, we went right before she turned 2. So that way she would fly free and be free at
Oh,
Disney.
right. And go free.
And
Yeah.
so we talked about, because I was pregnant when we went. And so we were like, well, we'll do it again when this one is not quite 2. So
Yeah.
that would only be like a year from now. So I don't know if it'll
Yeah.
happen, but
Yeah.
yeah, we'll see. Anyway, So what do you feel like there's missing in the publishing world, or is there anything?
Every time I watch one of your interviews, that's the hardest question. I don't know. I mean, there's something for everybody,
Yeah.
really. You just have to find it.
Yep.
Um, Even like within the cozy mystery genre. The only thing, okay, one of my subscribers, his name is Carm, and he's the sweetest guy, and he also has a channel for vinyl where he collects vinyl records and shows them. And I was telling him, because he's like, hey, I need to get more into mysteries. And I was like, I'm sure there's a cozy mystery series that has something to do with records. I
Yeah.
can't find one. And I'm like, so if anybody knows of one, you need to tell Carm.
Yes.
His channel is like Overog something, or he's got two channels, one that's books and one that's records. But anyway, I'll tell it to you if you want to put it in the description. But but yeah, did you know there's a whole YouTube community of people who collect vinyl records? They call themselves the vinyl community, and they show their music collections, just like we do books.
Yeah.
Music collections.
Interesting. I have really not ventured around on YouTube. I've fallen down some like parenting or like homeschooling rabbit holes, and then book rabbit holes, and I'm like, I can't spend any more time on here.
I know. Have you never fallen down the pimple popping rabbit hole?
Oh no. Oh no, that sounds terrible.
There's a whole it's terrible.
No.
I try not to very often, but yeah, there's a whole Dr. Pimple Popper is the channel.
What?
And there was even like a Kelly Ripa did a funny thing on her show where she pretended to have like this big giant pimple and Dr. Pimple Popper was going to be on the show. And she said that her kids, like her son, like freaked out that she didn't tell him ahead of time that Dr. Pimple Popper was going to be on the show.
God. That is a thing.
It's a thing. It is a gross thing, but it is a thing. Yeah,
nope,
it's a thing.
nope. Can't
Just
do that.
literally watching people pop giant pimples.
That is so gross.
I guarantee you're going to have comments in this video. If you leave this in, people will be like, oh yeah, I've seen them.
Oh, nasty. No. I am too squeamish for that. No, that's funny. Well,
I forgot what's missing in it. I think there is something for everybody, except that I can't find a cozy mystery series about music. Yeah.
Huh. Interesting.
There's a one about Glee Club. There's like a Glee Club cozy mystery, but not one about
it seems like that. Yeah, it seems like that should be a thing, but I don't know. Yeah. Well, so what were some of your favorite books that you read in 2020?
Oh, I meant to bring it in here. My favorite book, and hopefully by the time this airs, I will have done a video. I still haven't at this point. My favorite book was called These Is My Words by Nancy Turner. And it's, again, it's one of those like 1800s diary of a girl who, I think it starts out when she's 14 and it goes through the next 20 years of her life. And it's her diary. It's told in her diary. And she's going with her parents to Arizona Territory. And it's just brilliant. It's so good. Really.
Have you read 1,000 Acres? Is that what it's called? I just hauled it last month. I don't think it's still up there, but 1,000 Acres, maybe. It's a King Lear retelling. I'll see if I can find it. Because it sounds like
I haven't really ever gotten much into royalty kind of stuff.
No, it's not royalty. It's
I thought you said King.
King Lear, it's a King Lear retelling, but it's set on like a farm in the 1800s. I think this guy leaves his farm to his 3 daughters, and I don't know a whole lot about it, but it sounds like it sounds very interesting. Like something you would maybe like better than I would.
Yeah, I do like country, small town, back to like the whole buzzword thing. Now that I'm talking about it, country, farm, pioneer, small town, that kind of thing. Definitely Native American stuff, because I'm part Choctaw, so I love stuff like that.
Yeah, I have like thought about doing that tag, and so I have a list on my phone that
Oh, I
is
wish you
like
would.
I need to, but the list just keeps growing because I keep thinking about things, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, and that and that. And,
Also, books set in diners. I have this
oh
thing,
yeah.
I tend to collect them. Like if I'm book shopping and I see some kind of cute book that
Mhm.
has the name of a diner or something in the title, I'm all about it. I have to
Which
get it.
again is all about Fanny Flag. Like
Yep. Hmm.
Fanny Flag tropes are your thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Whistle Stop Cafe.
Yep. What were some of your least favorites of 2020?
Oh, you know, I read a couple of those dark romance books. I listened to them on audio for the light and dark readathon
Yeah.
just so I could get extra points. And then
Yeah,
the
I
light
get
side
it.
didn't win anyway.
Yep.
So if she does that again this year, you got to help me and we got to
I
read some
did.
light books. You did? Well, we got to
Oh,
get more people on the bandwagon to read more lighter books. And I
yes.
said, never again. If I ever do that readathon again, which I will, I'm only going to read light books. I'm not going to make myself read dark books just to get more points because that was
Those so
torture.
that readathon for me taught me something about myself, and that
Yeah.
I don't think I can do readathons that have points associated because
Really?
I was losing sleep so I could stay up and read. Like I had to get
Aw.
points, like I had to get points. I'm just too competitive. And like right now
I
I'm
am
doing the Black
competitive
Author
too.
readathon, and it's like I've got to get a blackout. It's not an option to not get a
Yeah,
blackout. Like,
yeah.
boy, but anyway.
Funny.
Yeah. But one thing I do love about you as well is like you've got a very specific kind of thing that you like, and yet you're currently reading Southern Storms by Brittany C. Cherry to be a part of the book club. And so like you're willing, I mean, I'm sure there's hard lines that you don't cross, but you're willing to try other things too. And I love that. So you're not stuck in a box. I appreciate that.
Well, I mean, I try to be at least part of the time I feel, I don't know, I'm kind of torn because like just today as we're filming this, there was a girl who did a video. She posted a video and she did shout outs for Christian booktubers. And she did preface it by saying, that these are people that she's watched that read Christian fiction, but they don't necessarily read only Christian fiction. Like they wouldn't, because she's trying to say to her viewers, look, you expect Christian fiction from me. So these people read other things. So this is just kind of a disclaimer. And so part of me felt like, I commented back to her, I'm like, you're so right. And I feel like when I first started BookTube, I I had up to that point really read a lot of Christian fiction, and I had once I joined a book club, a local book club, I would have to read more of what everybody was reading. But when I started watching BookTube, I started reading stuff just because that's what everybody was reading, all the YA fantasy and all that. And some of it was bad, but some of it was fine, but some of it's like, really? Ugh.
Yeah.
And so I've I feel like my reading has matured to the point where now I can read what I want to read. I'm still in book club, so I still have to read certain things, but I feel like I'm open enough on my channel saying, look, you guys know I'm a Christian, so I'm going to talk about if I read something that has a lot of swearing or sex or whatever, I'm going to let you know that. And you guys might get tired of me harping on it, but what this is what's here. And so if you're coming to me because you're looking for, a certain type of book, if I'm not reading that, then I'm going to let you know this is not it, that kind of thing. I don't know if I'm making any sense. I'm rambling, but yeah, so I'm trying to get back around to kind of to my roots where I'm reading more because I've been collecting it and it sits around on my shelf and unread, and
Sure.
I want to get back to rereading some old things, and I want to get back to just reading some more stuff that's fulfilling and inspirational and
Sure.
feel good.
Yeah. Do you read much nonfiction, like Christian nonfiction?
More than I used to. Again, that's something that I realized I was collecting. Like I would see something and think, oh, that looks good. Because I was in charge of library sales for a long time at our library. And so things would come through and I would think, oh, that looks really good. And I would let it sit on my shelf. So a couple years ago, I started a TBR jar of just a bunch of those nonfiction books that I could never seem to get around to reading, like parenting books. Well, as I was said the last time I did a draw, it's now or never with these parenting books, because my kids are 19 and 17. So, if I'm going to read these, it's, I got to do it. So I kind of have a better plan for doing it now. So, because I do my devotional in the morning, and then I usually have another nonfiction book that may or may not be inspirational. It may just be nonfiction. And I'll go right on as part of my morning and read just a few pages of that before I go on then and start my day and do other stuff. So I incorporate it into my morning, and then I end up getting through a lot more just by chinking away at it a little at a time. And I got that idea kind of from Gwen, the Gwendolyn reading method. She was the first booktube I ever watched, because she talked about how her method of reading, because at the time she was reading over 200 books a year, and I just thought that was crazy. Well, now look at me now. But anyway, she didn't do audiobooks. So she was reading, over 200 books in print. And she said she classifies her books into 3 different categories. The level 1 is the stuff that requires more brain power. And so she reads that like at the beginning of her lunch hour when she's fresh, and she just digests a little bit at a time. And, she just reads a little bit at a time and chinks away at those books that require more brain power. Then level 2 books are kind of that medium level where they require a little bit of brain power, but not as much. And then, so she would, after reading a few pages of her level 1, then she'd finish out her lunch hour reading a level 2 book. And then level 3 is just like super light, guilty pleasure, whatever. And she would just read those at night, like the last hour before going to bed, where she didn't really have to give it any thought. It was just for fun, and she didn't have to really focus or concentrate. And that makes so much sense to kind of realize when your natural rhythms are and read according to that. Because if you've got to read a textbook and you're trying to read it when you're falling asleep,
it's not going to work.
You can't do that. You got to be able to think on it. So I've kind of adapted that to me.
And for me, like really with anything, to make it happen, it has to be routine for me. Like I have to have kind of a designated time that I do X, Y, or Z if I want to do it consistently. So that sounds like a great strategy. I really like that idea. Yeah. Do you know how many books you have on your physical shelf?
On my Kindle, I have them cataloged, and it's almost 2,000.
Wow.
Well, it's probably more like 1,600, but then I know I have a bunch of books that are not cataloged yet. So I think probably I have about 2,000. And then my husband has physical books. And then my husband has not nearly as many as me, but he's got some. And then my kids both have, their own. So in our house, there's probably, 3,000 or more.
Yeah, that's awesome. That sounds like the perfect place to be. Love it. Well, are you ready for the rapid fire this or that?
I guess so.
Okay, I have a feeling it's not going to be very rapid fire because I have a lot of questions that I want to ask about them. But
I'm sorry. I know you probably have to go.
Oh,
if your kids start needing you, then
I know I don't hear crying, so I say let's stay up here as long as possible.
Okay.
Okay. Ebook, audiobook, paperback, or hardback?
Audiobook.
Buy or borrow?
Both.
Yeah.
I like to buy used books. I was thinking about this the other day. If I knew that libraries would keep everything, I wouldn't have to own it.
Yeah.
But they don't. They weed out stuff way too often, I think, for my taste. And so, like right now, we would like to read some of these Lauren Goes Wilder ancestor books that are out of print. And a lot of libraries have already gotten rid of them, or they've come up missing and they're out of print. And so we can't even do this read along that we'd like to do that would be like a year-long project, because we can't, people can't find them. Yeah.
Oh, bummer.
So that's the reason I started collecting more, is because I realized that things were disappearing and not always, coming back.
Sure. That makes sense. Like I get it from the library's perspective that they can't keep everything, but it also, that definitely is going to fuel my need to collect, because that's a good thought. Quiet or background noise?
Quiet.
Yeah.
I
Indoor
think,
or
yeah.
outdoor?
I think indoor. I
Yeah.
will go outdoors, but indoor, yeah.
Indoor.
Air conditioned.
Meet your favorite author or meet your favorite character?
Character. Yeah, I would be too intimidated to meet my favorite authors like Jan
Really?
Karen because she just seems so glamorous and just so smart and intelligent. And I'm like, I would just,
I
I
know.
wouldn't know what to say.
So we're filming this the day before our Brittany C. Cherry chat for the Book Sisters, and that's how I feel. Like I was looking through my old videos, and all the times I've talked about her is so many. And like my mom asked me who, if you could meet anybody, who would it be in the book world? And I said her. And so like yeah, I don't want to talk about it, but I have a feeling like even in person I would be a blubbery mess, but we'll see.
That's so funny. I remember the first time I hadn't been on Booktube very long or Twitter or anything, and I noticed that Maggie Sefton, who writes the Knitting Mysteries, started following me on Twitter, and I was like, Maggie
Yeah,
Sefton's following me on Twitter.
I know.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my God, I know.
Where did that come from?
Yeah,
So
like I posted a picture a couple years ago at Christmas of reading a Sarah Morgan book, and she
mhm.
commented on it, and I was like, like I almost felt like she could
Yeah,
like see me or something, and I'm like, oh my
I
God,
know.
I hope
Yeah.
it's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my
And
goodness.
now I have a couple of authors who are Facebook friends. I mean, I don't really talk to them, but I had a conversation for one thing or another, and they like sent me a friend request, and I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, but who am I?
It's so fun when they're so personable, but then I'm also
Right.
like, I want to keep this vision of you in my head that you're this awesome
Hmm.
I don't want to
Yeah.
know if you're not. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Now I do have a couple friends. In fact, I just interviewed one the other day, and it's on my channel that I've known for years, like before he ever started writing. And I've got a college friend who writes books. He's got um, now I can't even say his name, Gordon Grice. He writes books about dangerous animals. And I mean, I knew him in college. He's just this kooky guy that lived in the same dorm, and I was the desk clerk. And now he's like a college professor and he writes books about dangerous animals, stuff like that, and so it's kind of fun to have friends that you knew before they were were author. But the one I just interviewed, Jack Castle, he's a former coworker from way back, like 20-30 years ago, and now he writes science fiction fantasy. So he's in town and he's going to do a program at our library. So I
Oh,
had a chance
cool.
to sit down with him, and we hadn't seen each other in like 15 or 20 years or something. I don't
Oh,
know, long
wow.
time.
Cool. I'll have to go watch that.
Yeah,
Uh,
he's a good guy.
okay. So you kind of got your start in adaptations. Do you still like adaptations? And if so, book to film or book to TV show?
Yeah, probably TV show, because like you said, yeah, with Little House on the Prairie, that was kind of my first one. But it depends on who the casting is. Like I was just
Yeah.
thinking today, and I looked it up just to remind myself who it was, but they have made an adaptation of At Home in Mitford, but it's Andy McDowell and Cameron Matheson, and there's nothing wrong with them, but they don't personify those characters from
No.
At Home in Mitford. They should be older. I don't know.
And
They
like, what's his name?
just
The
doesn't fit.
what's his name? Father
Tim.
Tim.
Yeah.
I was gonna say
And
Tom.
I mean,
I don't
Cameron
see him as
Madison
like
is
a
like,
super
he's
hunky
kind of
dude.
young and hip, and that's just
Yeah.
not who Father Tim is.
Yeah.
So I just won't watch it. I
Yeah.
saw who it was, and I'm like, I can't.
Yeah.
And Lonesome Dove. I read Lonesome Dove with a read along a couple years ago. I'm sorry, I'm putting you to sleep.
Oh no. Oh
I
no.
know.
I've been up way too
But
long.
I read Lonesome Dove, and I had heard who was the main two characters, that it was oh, I can't even say who they are now. But in my head, I felt like it should be switched. Um,
Oh,
Tommy Lee Jones, I think, is one of them, and who's the other guy? I can't even say it. And so when I tried to watch the movie,
it's confusing.
they had the casting backwards, because in my head I'd been reading the books and picturing the two actors, but I had them switched.
Yep.
So now it's like, that just, no, that's not right.
Yep. That has happened to me. I can't remember with what, but then I'm like, wait, you're who? You're not supposed to be that person.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 But like Anne of Green Gables, I mean, Megan Follows to me is Anne of Green Gables. I mean,
Yeah.
she's perfect,
Yeah.
and more so even than the. There's been a couple of adaptations since then that are fine, but you know, I mean, she's just the perfect Anne, I think.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
it depends on what it is.
So classics or new releases?
Classics, probably. I don't like old classics, but I'd rather read
Yeah.
older than newer, like backlist. Is that what you mean? Like,
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah. I
No,
don't know.
I like that in between.
Yeah.
It's either or, though. I don't know. Maybe new releases as opposed to actual classics. Because
Yeah.
in order for me to really understand, like a Jane Austen book, I have to see the adaptation. I have to see the movie to really go, oh, so that's who that was.
Yes,
You know?
I agree. I
Yeah,
agree.
yeah.
No new books or no rereading?
So do you mean, because I hear you ask other people this, do you mean that I could still read the books that I own? I
Mm-mm.
can't buy new books?
No, it
Or
means
can I own stuff I've read before?
only stuff you've read before or
Okay.
only stuff you have not read.
Okay. Pick, I would reread and read nothing new.
Really?
Yes. Yeah.
Interesting.
And in fact, I've been thinking about doing that. If I knew exactly what year I was going to die, then a couple years before I died, I would just take the whole year and just reread my favorite
Yeah.
books, you
Yeah.
know, but we don't have
Only
that
you
luxury.
knew.
So at some point, I've been thinking about that and just calling it like year of rereading and just reread my favorite books
Yeah.
and read nothing new for the whole year.
Yeah.
I think that would be kind of cool.
Yeah. Go for it. I don't think I could do it. Standalones or series?
Series.
Solo or book
Yes.
club?
Book club.
Yeah. And you're a part of in real life and
Mhm.
virtual. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee. I got it right here.
Delicious.
My cup.
Oh, love it. Love it. So last, what is your favorite snack?
Ice cream.
Ice cream. What flavor?
Probably chocolate chip cookie dough or
Yeah.
Reese's or something like that.
Okay. If
Yes.
you put peanut butter in it, it's good. I don't care what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, like a Dairy Queen Blizzard
Yeah.
with Reese's cup or something that's like perfect. Yeah.
Although it's currently like negative 19 degrees here. And so I say that and I'm not kidding. And
Yeah,
so
well, I'm weird like that. I would eat ice cream in the freezing cold and I would drink coffee in like
yes,
100-degree weather.
I would.
So
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
whatever.
Doesn't make sense, but still do it. Well, that is all I have. Thank you so much for chatting.
You're
Like I said,
welcome. It
I
was
just
great.
love you. I adore your channel.
Oh, I love you
And
too.
I hope everybody checks you out if they don't already know you. But if they know me, they probably know you. But anyway, thank you for chatting. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day and good,
Thank you
happy
so much.
weekend. It's Friday.
Yeah, that's
TGIF.
right.
Whoop, whoop.
TGI Friend
For real.
Day.
Like, I know, I always get tickled when I'm actually filming on Friday. Like, hey,
Yeah.
it's actually Friday. Woohoo. All right. Well, have a good one.
Thanks, you too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.